Is this the last DLC for Jurassic World Evolution 2? After every DLC, I've gotten this question, and I've done videos before debunking the concerns. But this time, I think the answer is yes. However, in this video, I'm going to talk about what seems to be on everyone's mind, that this is probably the end of support for Jurassic World Evolution 2. What does that mean for us as park builders, and what does that mean for the channel? There are 5 reasons why I think this is the last DLC, and we'll cover those in this video, but it should go without saying that nobody, including myself, knows for sure. Only Frontier knows right now. So if you're looking for official confirmation, this video ain't it, but of course I will let you know if and when there is official news to share. Some things to look out for in the coming weeks is, first of all, on May 29th, Frontier will have their monthly unlocked stream. I will be tuning in to see whether they give us any clues about the future of Jurassic World Evolution 2 or lack thereof. Last month, Frontier surprised Planet Zoo fans with the announcement that there was another series pack coming after the Barnyard DLC, which most people thought was Planet Zoo's Swan Song DLC. Or I guess, in this case, their Chicken Dance DLC. Maybe there will be an announcement for Jurassic World Evolution 2 next time. Another thing to keep an eye out on is the SteamDB page. There's going to be some activity there anyway, as they are probably polishing out some bugs right now, but what we'd be looking for is an eventual LQA update, which would indicate upcoming new content. But that could be a long wait, as those updates don't happen several weeks, even months after a DLC drops. So it'll likely be a while until we know for sure, and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss any news and creative builds in the meantime. I think if they don't announce anything during their unlocked stream, I'll have a 6th reason to suspect this is the end. I'll keep you updated on that. For now, these are my 5 reasons. Starting with the number 1, the theme of the most recent DLC, the Park Managers Collection Pack. Really just a fan favorites pack in disguise. It's a very random pack, combining some of the most requested species, the missing little Edie skin, and of course the kelp in the free update. It feels like a postscript, a PS at the end of an email. Just something you forgot to fit into the bulk of the email that you realized you should add at the end. My second reason specifically evolves around the Microstratus. I've always said that I didn't think they'd end the game without it. Well, we have it now. With Microstratus, the roster of living, on-screen dinosaurs is now complete in the game. Alongside Microstratus, the addition of Segisaurus completes the list as well. It's the last species that was supposed to have been in the original Jurassic Park. And the Hybrid DLC finally added the Dr. Wu hybrids, completing the Jurassic World Evolution 1 roster in its sequel. And generally speaking, when things are complete, they are done. The only species I agree you could reasonably say is still missing is the Smilodon. Every other species that is still described as missing is really just a species you happen to like, which isn't in the game. Which isn't the same as missing, as the roster being incomplete in my opinion. However, I can see why the Smilodon would be the one species left out as the only mammal. It also explains why they've snuck Nothosaurus, Tarbosaurus, and Spinoceratops into separate DLCs rather than combining them with Smilodon into the perfect second Camp Cretaceous pack. They could still add Smilodon in a Cenozoic pack, but then why throw Microstratus and Megalodon together in a pack if there's still a future for the game that could include a Cenozoic pack that a lot of us were expecting to be in the works, and maybe a Herbivore pack that I've theorized to be a twin to the Predator pack. Why do the Park Managers Collection pack now and not first another pack that thematically is more cohesive, like a Cenozoic pack? I feel like they would have done such a pack first before resorting to picking out all of the leftovers from the fridge. Reason number 3 why I think this pack is the end is not about the pack itself, but about the update. Even though it introduced 2 most requested things, it only introduced 2 things. It's more than what we got with the hybrids, but it's still a far cry from the free updates from before. I think the reduced free content is indicative of the smaller team still working on the game, a symptom of Frontier investing less in the support of the game. All in Reds shared this amazing timeline of all the updates and DLCs on the subreddit, which shows just how much Frontier has improved the game since launch, with most of the best things having been added for free. But this last free update being as small as it is, makes me think it's likely the last update. Alright, the fourth reason, and this one is a lot more concrete, hidden in the game files. All of the content that has been added to the game in DLCs after launch have their own folder in the game files, titled PDLC 1 through PDLC 10. PDLC 9 being the hybrid DLC, and PDLC 10 the Park Manager's Collection Pack. Based on the fact that a PDLC 10 folder was already present in the game when the hybrid pack released, we knew this DLC was still coming. Well, I went into the game files to see if it had been updated to include PDLC 11, which would make it apparent there's more coming. And there is no PDLC 11 placeholder. This doesn't 100% mean there is no more to come. They can theoretically add that folder whenever they want. But the fact that it isn't there yet, when the other folders were present earlier, there were placeholders already in the game file, and this time around there isn't, that is a very, very strong indication that there's no future new content coming. The fifth and final reason why I think this is the last DLC is the news that a Jurassic World Evolution 3 is coming between June 2025 and the end of May 2026. For the full details, you can check out the first chapter of this video right here, but in short, although it's not officially titled Jurassic World Evolution 3, Frontier signed a license with Universal to make a third Jurassic World themed CMS game. That will either be a literal sequel to Jurassic World Evolution 2 or a spiritual sequel under a different name. There's no point for Frontier to be working on them both because they are going to be in direct competition with each other. This is what happened with Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2. The first game got its last DLC in December of 2019, and in the summer of 2021, the sequel was announced, which released in November 2021. So there was a 2-year break there. They would need to stop adding to Jurassic World Evolution 2 now if they want a break between this and the sequel too, because this Jurassic World Evolution 3 is coming out sometime between 1 and 2 years from now. This new game is coming pretty soon, and a break is very much needed. Not only because Frontier would need twice the manpower to work on both games, but also from the consumer side, you need that break so people don't feel like they've pumped money into something only to have a newer, shinier version come out a few months later. It's like buying a new car right before a new model comes out, and all of a sudden your brand new car feels outdated because it doesn't have these new bells and whistles on it. Besides, not everyone has the money laying around to keep buying DLCs and then buy a new game when it comes out. They'll want to give people a breather and potentially save up. Those are my reasons why I suspect the game is done. And I wanted to make this video because I always get this question, and I think Frontier won't answer it for us. As much as some of us would really appreciate them being clear about that, telling people they're done would be a very risky move. It's something they didn't do after Jurassic World Evolution 1, when the company was in a much better state, so something I also don't see them doing now given their troubles. Because it could dissuade some people from buying the base game or new DLCs and just wait for the next game. If the game is done, what is going to change on the channel? Well, to be honest, not much. I don't think the end of support for the game is a doomsday moment for us park builders or for the channel, especially with that sequel on the horizon. People will use the phrase, "the game is dead" when Frontier stops supporting it, and I disagree with that. Done and dead are not the same thing. Just because we might no longer be getting new things doesn't mean we can't still have new ideas and build new parks and discover new glitches. I have a whole channel full of creative build ideas that I bet you haven't even seen all of yet, and of course there are more builds still to come. I have 7 builds already planned out, and it won't end there. With how many parks I construct, eventually my well of inspiration will run dry, and I will start to use mods. As I've said in the past, I want to wait until the game is done, and I'm already getting questions from people like, okay, the game is done now, will you start modding? Well, as I've been saying, we don't know for sure yet if the game is done, and we won't know for sure for several months when there's no activity on SteamDB and no new DLC and free content comes. So even if this was the last DLC, which again I think is very likely, I won't start modding instantly. You still have at least a couple of months of unmodded gameplay coming your way, and then I'm excited to try out some modded builds as we bridge the gap until we get the new game. I'm also very much looking forward to when the period starts that we're getting news about the sequel, because that was such an exciting time leading up to the launch of Jurassic World Evolution 2, just slowly learning more about the game and seeing new species be revealed. So I hope you'll stick around with the channel for that next chapter, because of course I will be keeping you up to date on that. For now, check out my Megalodon research facility build and maybe my Microstratus petting zoo, and stay tuned for future builds. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game!